Hello and welcome back to another scrapbookpal.com video. This is Carrie Rhoades. I'm excited to be here today and share with you a brand new die set from Altenew. This is the Hugs die, just one in a collection of circled greetings. We're going to be making 4 different shaker cards with it. To go along with my circle die, I'm going to be using the Poppy Garden stamp set to create some backgrounds. So here I have a panel that measures 4 by 4, and I'm going to arrange as many of the stamps from the Poppy Garden stamp set on here as I possibly can, and not worrying about placement too much, just worrying about fitting them together like a puzzle, because I want to cover as much of the paper as I can. So I used a little temporary adhesive behind there to hold that in place, and then I'm going to ink this up with some light pink ink, and I'm going to stamp that down a couple times just to intensify it so you can see it a little bit better. It's a really light color. So here I am inking it up again, and it's my favorite thing about the Misty, being able to stamp repeatedly to make things darker. Love it. So there's my background. Then I'm going to take the Hugs die and place that on there right where I want it, making sure that the Hugs is straight because that's how I want it for this card, and then I'll go ahead and run that through the die machine. Now you see here that it just cuts this window into my panel. I'm going to save those excess pieces, and then I'm going to attach a sheet of plastic or window sheet behind this die. So I'm putting the glue on. It really helps if you let that glue sit for about 30 seconds. It stiffens up a little bit and then it doesn't squish outside the plastic as much. All right, now I'm putting that back into my Misty and using a little bit darker pink to stamp a sentiment that says, "I've been thinking of you," also from the Poppy Garden stamp set. So I'll stamp that twice to intensify the color. And that is the front panel for this card. I'm using some foam strips by Darice to create a reservoir all the way around this panel. So all of my foam strips are going to touch end to end so that none of my sequins will be able to escape from the shaker card. That's the important part of a shaker card. So once I have those in place, I'm going to bring in my anti-static powder tool to go all the way around the edge of that foam, because the edges can be a little sticky and I don't want my sequins to stick to that. So I put the sequins in, just some pink ones that I had on hand, and then I'm going to remove my backing to the foam tape and add a second window sheet. Now I cut my window sheets just smaller than 4 inches to give me a little bit of play in that. Press that into place and the shaker part of this card is ready to go. I'm going to use the same liquid glue again, going around the edge of this panel and adhering that to a 4 1/4 by 8 1/2 inch piece of pink cardstock, which I scored in half. And that's card number 1. So on to card number 2. I'm doing the same thing, arranging my stamps to create a background. I'd already taken them off of my Misty, so I just did a new pattern and it was quite fun. For this one, I'm going to die cut the Hugs with a circle die around it, and it pops that piece out. And it looks like that. So we're going to use this to make a different kind of shaker card. I'm going to again save those negative pieces. They'll come into play later. And then I'm going to use my die cut as a guide for where to place my sentiment on this panel. And then I will stamp that down, this time with black ink, and I can remove that die cut. I don't need it there now that I have the placement all set up. So I'm stamping that with jet black ink from Lawn Fawn, and it says, "You inspire me to be better." I use that same circle die to cut out 2 pieces of window sheet that will work for this shaker element that we're creating now. So I'm putting the liquid glue around. You can let it set up for about 30 seconds and then it doesn't squish out, which is really important with small intricate dies like this. All right, then the same Darice foam strips, because they are fabulous for going in a shape. So if you have a shape shaker, like I'm doing here, a circle, you can easily manipulate these in and around different shapes. So I love them. All right, so now I'm going to finish that off, making sure all the ends are touching so none of my sequins can get out of this shaker. Again, use your anti-static powder around the edge of your foam. And then I'm going to use the same sequins in all of my cards today. So I just filled that up, remove the backing carefully. You'll see these sequins get a little excited. They're very excited about being in a shaker card, and they're just jumping all over. There's some static going on there. Also, when you pull back the backing, you can get like a little ping and then some jump out. It's crazy. All right, so press that second window sheet into place, and you can see all my sequins are trapped in there and ready to go. For this card, I'm going to stick the shaker onto the stamped background panel the same way we did with the first card, just putting that glue around the edge. And then you can see, because I have the double window there, you can still see my sentiment through the shaker. All right, once that's good and dry, I'll mount this to a pink card panel, just like I did before, or card base. And again, it's 4 1/4 inches by 8 1/2. So when scored, it is a 4 1/4 inch square card. So there's the 2 cards to start with, and I just couldn't stop. I was having so much fun with this. I really wanted to keep going and use up some of those negative pieces. So for card number 3, I'm die cutting a black panel, and this will be kind of my beginning of my puzzle. So I'm gluing this down to my card base, the same card base as the other 2 cards, and then I'm bringing in the negative pieces from our first card, those kind of die cut extra pieces, saved them, and then I'm going to puzzle piece them right back in around the word hugs. So now we have a lot of interest going on here with the pink on the edge, we've got the black, and then we have the stamped panel in and around the word hugs. So there's really a lot of things you can do with this die that you might not think when you first look at it. So there's the base for our third shaker card. So I will stamp another sentiment right on there, also with black ink. And there's 2 good sentiments in this set, so I used them both. I liked them both to go with the word hug. So I've been thinking of you, and you inspire me to be better. Both good, right? All right, so now I'm creating the front panel for my shaker using that same circle die that I used before. And while I'm letting this glue dry, I thought, okay, I could take the negative pieces on a circle and build the word hugs with just the negative pieces on a circle. So I'm going to do that for card number 4, but I'm going to use a different background than that pink circle. So, all right, here we go again, making a shaker, putting the adhesive strips all the way around, using my anti-static powder tool, but this time I'm going to put the sequins right on the card and not use a second window sheet. I just wanted to show you that this is an option. I find it to be a little bit harder to do, and so I like having the double window sheet, which I learned from my friend Cassie, who also designs here for Scrapbook Pal. She's fabulous. Okay, so there's card number 3. I was thinking it's a little plain on the outside, so I did something dumb. I stamped right on the card, and it's already on there. So to fix my boo-boo, I stamped a couple extra of those same flowers and used the dark pink ink that I used on these cards and the light pink ink to watercolor them in, and then I just cut those out and stuck them on top of my messed up area, and it fixed it, and I actually really like the look of the die cut on there. It really adds to this card. Oh yeah, I don't actually have the dies for this set, so I fussy cut them. No worries, it's all good. But there is a coordinating die set for the Poppy Garden stamp set. I just haven't got it yet. One of these days, right? All in time. All right, so that is card number 3, all done. And now we're going to go back to card number 4, where I started laying those pieces out on the circle. But in the end, I stamped a second, or this would be my 4th panel. I stamped, and then I put the hugs, the black extra pieces, onto that excess circle that I cut out from the background. And then I am stamping and embossing a sentiment. Now this sentiment is really small and really detailed, so you want to be really careful. It can blur out your sentiment a little bit when it's that small. So that we're setting aside while I'm creating the shaker window. Same as before. Nothing different about this, and I'm going to adhere the hugs part to the card base. It's the same 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch pink card base, removing some of that anti-static powder from my black paper and putting the sequins right on top of the hugs. And then I will add my window sheet over the top of that, and I got this one a tiny bit crooked. Oh, I'm so sad about it. The pink card shows from behind that window panel a tiny bit. These are the things that make me so sad, y'all. but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So those are my 4 shaker cards. I had so much fun playing with this die, and I know that you would love it in your collection too. So many cool things you could do with this. So let me know below which of these 4 cards is your favorite. And I will be back again soon with another video for Scrapbook Pal very soon. You can find everything that I used linked for you below, and you can see these cards on the Scrapbook Pal website as well. Happy stamping! Bye!